The importance of blockchain really is an underlying thesis of, why is this important? And I think if you think about some of the bad things that have happened when it's related to data and finance, it really spawned its legs through the 2007 2008 financial crisis, when these banks were too big to fail, supposedly, and they were bailed out by our tax money, by our government, and they just printed a bunch of money and solved, kicked the can down the road, so to speak. So Bitcoin was born using blockchain technology, and it was born because of these things, that these guys can make these deals behind the scenes, and we really didn't have any control over any of it. So blockchain being decentralized means that nobody controls it. Nobody can change it. Anybody can interact with it, no matter where you're at. Versus centralization, where you can think of it as a bank, I guess, where you put your money in a bank and it's centralized. The bank controls it. The government controls the bank, basically.
Okay, I like the other way.
As we've seen that. So there's a lot of control of your money versus a decentralized blockchain-based technology where you would put your money in and nobody controls it but you. You have complete control over that money. So you don't have to ask permission. Nobody can take it. It can't be seized, can't be held up, can't be altered, none of those things. So that's kind of the difference between centralized, decentralized.
And at that point, it's kind of a no-brainer.
The technology is, and that's why it's growing so fast. And that's why we're even here sitting here talking about it, because it is what the internet was back in the 1980s. That's where we're at today. Probably 1985, 1986 in the world of the internet. So we have about 10 years. It's going to move faster, I think. So I think we got about 10 to 12 years of building of this infrastructure before it becomes user-friendly for the masses. So, another difference between decentralized and centralized, you can think of as data. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, let's just say, and you're, every day you're putting posts on and interacting with your family and doing what Facebook was designed to do, as we know now, they have a monetary policy of collecting data and selling it off to somebody that has a high bid on it. That's a concept of centralized data. They're collecting data, putting it into a database, and then selling it off. Decentralized data storage would not be able to happen like that. So decentralized would not allow that data to be on one particular control system. So Facebook wouldn't have control of that data. It'd be controlled by each individual creator. So that's another example of decentralized versus centralized. And there's platforms being built right now that are going to solve this centralized data issue. So I think in the future we'll start to see that, where the creators of the content benefit, not one entity. So think of Facebook, think of all the posts you've put on for years, and think about what if you were able to, make 15 cents every time you posted some content and somebody reacted to it.
Oh, my wife would be rich.
My
wife would be.
But that's kind of what Facebook's been able to do. They've been able to monetize in a way like that. So they've used our content, which we create, to enrich their, centralized bank. So, decentralization kind of goes into that thesis of, hey, bring the control and the benefits of data and finance and other things to the people that are actually contributing to it. So it's really a disruptor in a lot of ways to a lot of industries and a lot of powerful people. So, it's not going to be a smooth linear road to get from point A to everything's utopia. It's going to be a bump in the road because there's powers that be that really don't want to lose control.
And with it being decentralized, are there any restrictions?
No.
No.
What do you mean by that?
Like, is there any restrictions on what you put on there?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, there's protocols. There's got to be developers that develop whatever it is that's being developed, and within those developments, they can put into the code, certain parameters. Like, obviously, I don't think anybody wants to see a free reign of child pornography or, illegal, things going down. So that's a moral issue, right? How do the developers, walk that tight line of developing something that nobody can mess with, and the creators or the people interacting with it can do whatever they want with it? It's a big tug of war going on right now. Where is there a line drawn, and who makes up the rule? Is true decentralization, is that the way of the future, or not? Should there be some rules? So if we're talking about like Facebook, and we'll stay with them because it's easy for people to understand. What if you were able to put anything you want on Facebook? Anything you want, no matter what. No rules. Nobody can tamper with what you put on there.
Oh, it'd be a shit show.
It would be a mess, right? It would be a mess. So, I think there's an obligation in society that if we're going to build these technologies out, that we're also doing it in a responsible way, and I think we'll figure that out. I think there's gonna have to be some sort of parameters put into place, but I don't think anybody wants our government involved in doing that. So I think if it's self-governance from the community that develops these technologies, I think it's always going to be the best way to go. So we'll see. We'll see where all that plays out. But blockchain technology in general is the basis of everything. Like I said, we're going to probably talk about moving forward when it comes to technology, because it really is a basis for a lot of things to come and a lot of things that are being built right now.